At this point, I today do not know what it was, in fact, that we saw. But when we got back to the hotel, the motel that night, Paul said that he, about a half hour, 45 minutes, something like that, after he fell asleep, he woke up totally awake, and something picked him up, actually picked him up and set him up in bed, involuntarily. And the moment he sat up, a light came on over his head like a little dim night light. And he looked up to see an alien's face with the typical aliens with the bubble eyes, but it was glowing, and you could see through it. You could see the ceiling through it, as if it were a hologram of some kind. And it was glowing, looking at him, and he said it slid across the ceiling, went across the ceiling, hit the wall, and came down to where it was even with him sitting in bed. It went through the wall and disappeared. But Ivy, in my room, was laying so that she could see the door, and she said she saw the glowing on the wall, but she couldn't tell what the light was because it wasn't very bright. And she said, but when she opened her eyes to see the glowing of the light in Paul's room, which was the face on the wall, a little red, tiny little red dot of light came through Paul's room and came in and hovered over her.
The medium said, we have a very special surprise tonight for you people. A spirit will manifest itself openly here in a few minutes, and it's like a big gust of wind hit the building and right through the wall, and that translucent being seemed to come right out of the wall.
How did you feel right at that moment?
It's almost like my heart stopped a little bit. You know, very weird feeling. It was a lady in a beautiful evening gown, swirling. And she said to Mary, my dear sister, you are so wonderful to have asked for me. And Mary fainted and fell right off her chair on the floor. And a couple of guys jumped up and picked her up, and spirit gone. And that was the beginning of it.
That's how you got into it.
Yeah, that's the way we got into it. After a while, you see, there's something interesting about the human mind. You can adjust to an awful lot of stuff. You can adjust to a lot of things that would terrify you to begin with. After a while, they become common and ordinary.
So you mean contact with the supernatural can become commonplace and ordinary and doesn't bother anybody?
Yeah.
In other words, the more that you do it, you're not uncomfortable.
That's right.
It's just not.
People believe that the dead have entered into a higher state of existence than they had when they were alive. Also that they are in a position and have the capacity to help the living here on earth. So who are they talking to? He says the friendly demon spirits that have always found over the centuries great delight in impersonating in apparitions departed loved ones and persons of great renown. He said the supposed spirits of the dead that you're talking with are demon spirits. They're fallen angels. They're beautiful beings.
Just set it out, just like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It didn't make you uneasy when he said they were
Well,
just
you know, it
demon
shocked
spirits?
you a little bit, you know, something that you first hear mentioned to you.
The people on board the ship usually are described as looking like the alien that I just showed you. They're very short, 3 to 4 feet tall, big heads, huge eyes, no genitals, vestigial mouth and nose and ears. In other words, not very much of those in evidence. And they stink. They smell like sulfur. Interesting smell.
The Amityville Horror was based on a factual account of what happened to a family in Amityville, New York. An irritating and nauseating odor seemed to accompany the presence of the ghost or spirit entity that entered there from time to time.
Terry claims that he then ventured back outside to take more photos.
I took a series of 3 pictures of an upstairs window.
But suddenly, he feels that he is no longer alone.
I felt this presence come over me, And the smell was like sulfur and roses. Real strong smell.
When Terry develops the film from his still camera, he's shocked by what he sees. 3 consecutive pictures of what appears to be a woman glowing in a pink light, floating in the second-story window.
Dr. Pierre Guérin, an eminent scientist associated with the French National Council for Scientific Research, concludes that UFO behavior is more akin to magic than to physics as we know it, and that modern UFOnauts and the demons of past days are probably identical. The word demon in Greek comes from the root meaning knowledge or intelligence, implying that demons have access to knowledge and information denied to ordinary mortals.
After what happened to me, the communion experiences, I decided that that might be a good idea to accept the idea of the devil just in case that's what I saw. If you look closely at the life of the world, you see the workings of evil in the world. There seems to be a sort of machinery behind it that is far beyond just the accident of human life.
You could literally hypnotize a person, tell them that there's a cat in their lap, they will see it, they will hear it, purr, they will pet it and feel it. It's not physically there. You tell the cat to scratch them, and bring them out of it. There are scratch marks on their cheek. A non-physical object, under the right conditions, can leave physical evidence. I think it's demonic. It's a spiritual power of some kind for which there is no physical explanation. You can't explain it with the laws of chemistry and physics as we know it.
In summary, demons do exist and they are attempting to destroy what God has established. They have been doing this throughout the history of man, and are the explanation for the evil in this world. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party are evidence of their presence. Demons are as different as people. There are some who actually desire to help us, desperate for human interaction. Some demons are terrified of other fierce demons. Their greatest deception is to make you think they don't exist. You must remember they have a higher knowledge than man. Today, there are a host of demons disguising themselves as alien grays from another planet. This is directly related to the UFO phenomenon and alien abductions. They are in the process of their last scheme to deceive the world, causing man to dismiss God as a myth, denying the return of Christ.
That was his power. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Do not be deceived. These aliens are leading people astray. Christ is returning for those who know him. And if you know him, you will recognize his return. This world will eventually be destroyed, not by our doing, but by the will of God. According to Revelations, we will reign with Christ for 1,000 years before the end of this world. Take comfort in his promise.